Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about surface area. Now I know you already learned a little about surface area from watching the other videos last night, but I'm going to show you another way to find surface area. So let's first talk about the way that you already did this problem. If I'm finding the surface area of this rectangular prism. Remember, what they said to do was either draw the net or at least think about what the net would look like. So we know that if I looked at the net, it would have the 4 lateral faces. So in this case, those lateral faces would be rectangles. Okay, so it would have those 4 rectangles. And then it would have the top and the bottom, which are also, in this case, rectangles. So if I unfolded this and looked at the net, I'd see 6 rectangles. Okay, and remember that the video said once you look at that net, you'll just find the area of each one of those faces, in this case 6 rectangles, and then you'll add them together. So if you recall, they said surface area when it's a prism, we'll just take 2 times the area of the base and we'll add it to the area of all the faces. So all the area of lateral faces. And actually it's going to be the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. Okay, so let's first do the problem that way, and then we'll talk about how we could do it just slightly differently. So if I'm going to start with the bases, let's call the bases of this rectangular prism the top and the bottom. So I'm looking at the dimensions of the bottom and the top. So the area of the bottom is equal to length times width, 5 times 3, which is 15. And that's the bottom, but that's also the top. So I'm able to just double that. And I'm doubling that for the top. So I'm getting 30. Now I'm going to look at the area of the left and the right and the front and the back. So the area of the left is equal to, so looking at the left and the right, I have 4 by 3. And that's 12. But I'll double that, 24, for the right as well. And I did the top and the bottom, the left and the right, so now I'm going to look at the front and the back. So looking at the front, that's 5 by 4, and that's 20. But I'll, of course, double that for the back. And that gives me 40. So we know that the surface area is equal to 2 times the area of the base. Well, we doubled the base right here, and we got 30, plus the area, the sum of the area of the lateral faces. So we're going to add 30 on to the 24, which was the left and right, and the 40, which was front and back. So 30 plus 24 is 54, plus 40 is 94. And we're talking about centimeters squared because we're talking about surface area. Okay. Now, that was just thinking about the net, or just taking all the side areas and adding them up. But we're going to look at the surface area, finding the surface area of this rectangular prism another way. So we're going to go back to where we found the area of the lateral faces. So notice here with the left, we had 4 times 3 because those were the dimensions of the left and the right rectangle. And then notice that for the front and the back, we again have 4, which was the height, times the other dimension, which is 5, when we're looking at the front and the back. So what you'll notice is that when we find the area of the left, 4 times 3, and then we find the area of the right, 4 times 3. 4 is being used in both cases. And then same thing with the front and the back. We have 5, which is the one dimension of the front rectangle, times 4, which is the height of the prism. And then to get the back, I'm going to do again 5 times 4. Okay, so notice that each of the lateral faces, each of those rectangles, in order to calculate the area, I had to multiply the one dimension by 4, the height of the prism. So really, another way of doing this problem, rather than getting the area of each lateral face, what I could do is, because I used the 5 and the 3 and the 5 again and the 3, and I multiplied each one of those by 4, the height of the prism, what I could do is just calculate the perimeter of the base first, and then multiply that by 4. Okay, and when we do that, that is what's called the lateral, finding the lateral area. So let's take a look at that. So lateral area, first of all, what is it? It's the sum of the areas of the lateral faces. Okay, so remember when we found this area, now we did it by just multiplying 4 times 3. And we found this area, we did it by multiplying 5 times 4. And then same thing for the back, 5 times 4. And then same thing for the left-hand side, 4 times 3. So if I'm looking at just those faces, the lateral faces, and finding the area of each one, that is what's called the lateral area. Okay, so now I'm not including the top and I'm not including the bottom, I'm not including the bases. I'm just finding the lateral area. So the way that we find that or calculate the lateral area is we take the perimeter. Now, perimeter, remember, this is of the base. So it's important that you first look at the diagram and decide which is the base. Well, our base is a rectangle. So what we'll do is we'll find the perimeter of that base and we'll multiply it by the height of the prism. And it'll be a little bit quicker to find the lateral area rather than the way that we did the surface area earlier. So the lateral area, now notice I'm writing LA because I'm talking about lateral area right now. I'm going to find the perimeter of the base. Well, the base is this rectangle with sides 5, 3, 5, and 3. So I'm going to add those, 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3. That's the perimeter of the rectangle. And we're going to multiply that by the height of the prism, which is 4. So 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3, that gives me 16. And 16 times 4 is 64, and these are centimeters squared. So if you're asked to calculate the lateral area, meaning, again, the sum of the areas of the lateral faces, then you would get 64 centimeters squared for the lateral area. Okay, now we're going to use the lateral area to get the surface area. Now we already did this problem the long way using the net and figuring out all the areas of the bases and adding them together. Well, now because we've already figured out the lateral area for this same problem, all I need yet are the top and bottom. All I need yet are the area for the top and the bottom, or the bases, and then I will have the entire surface area. Okay, surface area is defined as 2 times the area of the base plus the lateral area. Well, we have the lateral area. Now we just need the area of the bases, the top and the bottom, and we'll add that on to the lateral area. So surface area, we're going to take 64, which is the lateral area, and we're going to add on 2 times the area of the base, the bases. Well, the base is 5 by 3. So 2 times 5 times 3. So we're going to add on 64, and 2 times 5 is 10 times 3 is 30. And when I add 64 and 30, I get 94 centimeters squared. And that is the surface area. Notice that's the same answer we got earlier when we thought about the net and got all the areas and added them together. This is a little bit quicker to get the lateral area, a little bit easier. So now we're going to take a look at finding the lateral area of this prism here on the right-hand side. I'm going to scroll down to give us some more space. Okay. But we have this triangular prism, and I'm going to just start with the lateral area of that triangular prism. Well, the lateral area, now this time our bases are triangles, so I want to find the area of those rectangles, of the area of the lateral faces. Okay, so I'm going to first take the perimeter of the base. Well, the base is that triangle. I'm going to move this 8 and 6 down here just so I can see it better. Looks like I don't know that third length, the hypotenuse of that right triangle. So let me use the Pythagorean theorem to get it. 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to c squared. So 36 plus 64 equals c squared. That's 100 equals c squared. Square root of both sides, and c equals 10. So now I know all three sides of the triangle, which means I can calculate the lateral area because I can get the perimeter of that triangle. So the perimeter is going to be 8 plus 6 plus 10. Remember, lateral area is the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. So the height of the prism is the edge that connects the two bases, so the two triangular bases. That edge is 20, has length 20. So I'm going to multiply the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism, which is 20. So 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 plus 10 is 24. I'm going to multiply 24 times 20. Well, 24 times 2 is 48. And I'm just going to put a 0 on the end, so 480. And these are centimeters squared. So if you're asked to find the lateral area of this triangular prism, it's 480 centimeters squared. Now all I have to do is figure out the area of the base, so capital B, and that's going to be the base times the height of the triangle, so 8 times 6, and then of course divided by 2 or times 1/2. But then I'm going to double that. I want the area of two bases, right, for my surface area. So when I double 8 times 6 divided by 2, that actually just gets rid of the dividing by 2, and I get 48, and these are centimeters squared. So that would be two bases area. So now what we're going to do is we're going to combine those. We have our two base area and we have our lateral area. So we'll get our surface area, which is 480 plus 48. And let's see. So we're getting 528. Make sure I did that right. 8. Yeah, looks right. 528, and these are centimeters squared, is the surface area of that triangular prism. Okay, let's try one more example. This time we're going to get the lateral area and the surface area of this cylinder. So lateral area, remember, doesn't include the bases. The bases are circles. So I'm talking about just the sides of this cylinder, like I'm wrapping up this cylinder with wrapping paper, but I'm not putting anything on the top and the bottom. So let's first calculate that lateral area. Okay, well, lateral area, remember, is the perimeter of the base times the height of the cylinder. Well, the perimeter of the base, our base is a circle. So we remember that when we're talking about perimeter of a circle, we're talking about the circumference. So the lateral area when it's a cylinder, it is still the perimeter of the base times the height of the cylinder, but the perimeter of the base is defined as 2 pi times the radius. So I'm going to take 2 pi times the radius, and then I'm going to multiply that by the height of the cylinder, which is 6. So the lateral area is going to be 2 times pi times the radius is 9. I can see that in my diagram, and then times 6. So 2 times 9 is 18, so I have 18 pi times 6. So let me find that. Okay, 18 times 6 is 108 pi. And these are inches squared. That's the lateral area. Okay. Now, it also wants the surface area. So remember, when I want the surface area, I want 2 times the area of the base plus the lateral area. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 times, well, the base is a circle, and the area formula for a circle is pi times the radius squared. And then I'm going to add on the lateral area. So I'm getting 2 times pi times the radius, which is 9 squared. And then 2 times pi times the radius squared. And then I'm going to add on 108, our lateral area. Well, 2 times pi, 9 squared is 81, plus 108. So 81 doubled is 162 pi plus 108 pi. Oops, I forgot my pi there. Okay, so I have 162 pi and 108 pi, which I'm going to combine. Looks like I'm going to get 270 pi for my surface area. And these are in inches squared. Okay, so that's the surface area and the lateral area of this cylinder. All right, I'd like you to try the problems here, which will help you practice finding lateral area and surface area. Good luck.